right. So my talk today is Music of the Spheres. And so this just kind of came to me when somebody asked me what the title was. I think Marty asked me a week or two ago, and I kind of somewhat flippantly said the music of the spheres. And I thought, wow, I wonder what I'm going to talk about with that. But what's really amazing, and I was saying this to Tom, and he was agreeing before the service, is that when you sit down to really prepare these things, it's sometimes amazing. It's kind of like writing a book. You get to the middle of it and you think, where am I going with this? And then somehow it just comes around and kind of ends perfectly. And so it's really, I very much appreciate giving these talks. They're just, I like the researching, I like putting it together, but I also like, standing up here and seeing all of your faces and everything. So how many of you sing in the car? A good majority of you. And I mean really sing. I mean, when it comes on, I see people in cars sometimes, and they're just, they've got the hand gestures, and they're going, and it's kind of nice to know that people are having that kind of enjoyment. A lot of people hum or they tap on the steering wheel. I see people doing kind of little drum solos on the steering wheel. I imagine many of you sing in the shower. That's not something that I've really done. I was raised in LA with top 40 radio, and I really need the music to be there with me. So singing by myself is just not something that I do, but boy, you put on the music and I'm right there. So I grew up with the Ronettes, met 'em on a Sunday, the Supremes, the Beach Boys, and lots of harmony. We sang in the car on vacations. I don't know if anybody can stand one more chorus of The Wheels on the Bus or 99 bottles of beer on the wall as we're a little older. My mother had a lovely singing voice, and we could sing in rounds, although for some reason she did not teach us how to harmonize. But with 10 kids, I think she just gave up on certain things. We sang at Girl Scout camp. I sang old Presbyterian hymns like Holy, 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 which is why that was on this morning. Having escaped the mundane Sunday school as a kid, I would wander into the sanctuary of the First Presbyterian Church in San Fernando and sing the old hymns, and that's why it really, to be able to sing that today, I think that's really one of the earliest hymns I learned. I was recently at my child's college graduation and at University of Pacific, south of here, and because they have a music conservatory, a school choir opened the event with the national anthem, and then they closed the ceremony with our alma mater song. But I was so disappointed because how often do you really get to sing the national anthem these days unless you go to a sports event or something like that? So although the choir was beautiful, I really, thought they should have let all of us, kind of sing along. And the school song, obviously I haven't sung that in a long time. So, it's actually a hymn because UOP used to be a Methodist school. So, virtually never do you get to really sing something like that. So I think that, the way we should do this with these kinds of public events is to have the choir go at least one time through and then let us sing. Or maybe to be more realistic, everybody should sing the first verse, which they know, and then the choir can sing the verses that we don't. But that got me to thinking about singing in church and what happens when we do sing. So somebody calculated, I love how people calculate these things, that in 4 verses of the Psalms, we're commanded to sing 7 times. The Bible contains over 400 references to singing and 50 direct commands to sing. The longest book in the Bible, the Psalms, is a book of songs. And in the New Testament, we're commanded not once, but twice to sing psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs to one another when we meet. So that's not just I can imagine now going up to some of you singing holy, holy, holy to you. But the Protestant churches have had a mixed message on music in church. Some think that words without music offer a dry, unaffecting message, and others are afraid that the music will overcome or obliterate the message, or they fear the impact and power of music over people. St. Augustine said that he approved of singing in church so long as by the delights of the ear, weaker minds may be stimulated to a devotional mood, carrying on that patriarchal idea there. Yet, he said, when it happens that I am more moved by the singing than what is sung, I confess myself to have sinned wickedly, and then I would rather not have heard the singing. Similarly, a pastor in Switzerland who lived in the 16th century banned music from his meetings, so concerned was he with the power of music. But we know that music and the word aren't meant to be in conflict with each other. God wants them together. That's why he tells us in Psalm 147, "Praise the Lord, for it is good to sing praises to our God, for it is pleasant, and a song of praise is fitting." God didn't intend that music supersede the word or that the music undermine the word. We were given music to serve the word. When that relationship is understood and appreciated, music becomes a powerful gift from God that complements, supports, and deepens the impact of the words we sing. I've really enjoyed the way Marty has incorporated singing into his talks. I think that's just puts more riches into the whole thing. So why do we sing? Well, in earlier times, of course, the music helped us remember the words. Without the ability to read and write, music served as a way to pass on stories, to pass on ideas. And just as the significance of that, how many of you can still sing along with a TV jingle or the music to a sitcom from the past? And then you've got the examples of nursery rhymes, Christmas carols that we all know by heart, songs that were popular when you were a teen, like that Do Run Run one. So the more unique and repetitive or immediately impacting the musical elements are, the easier it is to remember the song or jingle. So Oliver Sacks, who many of you may know, has written many books on the brain and that type of thing, wrote, "Every culture has songs and rhymes to help children learn the alphabet, numbers, and other lists. Even as adults, we're limited in our ability to memorize series of numbers or lists or hold them in our minds unless we use mnemonic devices or patterns. Our minds appear to be hardwired to recognize and remember patterns in music, even better than we remember patterns or words alone." How many of you used to listen to Name That Song? Kind of an old one, but gosh, my aunts, grandmother and mom could really ace that show. They knew that, all the words to the music, the names of the songs. Or in the 70s, we had Schoolhouse Rock, where that helped kids remember math. And the field has grown exponentially since then. I'm sure we've all heard about and read about Alzheimer's patients who can't tell you the name of their spouse or their child, but they can instantly sing songs that they learned as a child. In Deuteronomy 31:21, God used music to help, he said, God used music to help people remember God's words. As Israel was about to enter the promised land, God instructed Moses to teach Israel a song so that, quote, "when many evils and troubles have come upon them, this song shall comfort them as witnesses, shall confront them as a witness, for it will live unforgotten in the mouths of their offspring," end quote. One pundit said, "You've heard of ADD, attention deficit disorder. Well, some churchgoers suffer from HDD, that's hymnal dependency disorder, or at large modern evangelical churches, SDD, which is screen dependency disorder. So if the hymnal pages used invisible ink or the screen went blank, many would be lost. But these songs should really come from the heart. Next time you're singing a hymn, try looking at a line and then look away and sing it. God gave us music to help remember the words. Along with helping us remember words, singing also connects the words we sing with our hearts. Music is language or emotion. It expresses or arouses or speaks to our feelings. It can move us in subtle and profound ways, sometimes anticipated, sometimes unexpected. As David played his harp, Saul's troubled spirit was calmed. In Matthew 11:17, Jesus referred to music that made people want to dance or mourn. In Colossians 3:16, God commanded us to sing with thankfulness in our hearts to God. Singing expresses that which words and thoughts cannot. We sing in joy, we sing in sorrow. Singing moves us in ways that are inexplicable. When we hear others sing, we can glean their innermost emotions. When we sing together, we can see that our heart's praises, confessions, and resolutions are shared. We are not alone. And if I am to speak to others in song, I am to listen to others as well. How many of you stop singing once in a while just to hear how great our voices sound together? I really miss hearing Caroline's voice rise in harmony above all the rest of our voices. Sometimes we're simply responding to musical principles that have been culturally learned. Personal experience with a song can affect its influence on us. We might assign moral values to songs, connecting them to aspects of our culture that we consider good or evil, or acceptable or not acceptable. My mother could not stand to hear Joan Baez sing, and I loved her, of course. To my mom, she was the very essence of the counterculture, all the changes that were going on at that time, and it just instantly set her, into a very bad mood. For me, I don't listen to rap, but it's a part of my son's coming of age. It's just something that he accepts and goes with. So music comes along words and heightens the emotional impact in a way that we may not have perceived with just words alone. Singing can help us take more time to reflect on the meaning of words. It can stretch out words and phrases. It allows us to repeat a word or phrase or put space between the words, and we engage emotionally with the words we're singing. Music amplifies the emotion of the words we're singing, whether it's a joyful celebration, such as in the garden, or we're awestruck with reverence, again, the holy, holy, holy that we sang this morning. The music signals us on how to respond to a given situation. And you notice that probably in movies and TV series where you kind of know what's going to happen before it happens based on what kinds of music they're using. And that music signals us to respond to a given situation right down to our opening song that tells us to sit down and enter into worship. Wings of Song was first published in 1984, and I was pretty surprised when I read that because I came to Unity in 1983, and the hymnals looked like they had been around for a while. I don't know why, but they seemed just like the hymnals that I'd grown up with, and the hymns seemed so familiar to me, although sometimes with different lyrics, and most of which I really felt so comfortable and at home with. And it was so easy to transition into the Unity theology. So the Wings of Song, as you know from our emphasis on it, is really the soundtrack to our movement. It's the way we reflect our language and our beliefs. What I didn't know is that by 1996, there was a move afoot to replace Wings of Song. A task force was formed, and although a new hymnal was never published, a subscription program would deliver a package of 6 to 10 pieces of sheet music. Who uses sheet music anymore? With the accompanying cassette so that small ministries could use them without pianists. In 2000, 30 songs were chosen from that survey to create Songs from a World Awakening, a CD with full piano vocal scores and piano tracks for singing along. However, due to the third generation of music, which we've kind of moved into with Christian music, that's projected up on the screens for the congregation to sing, Unity has again shifted gears, and a new songbook will be out each year with new songs being written by Unity artists and songwriters in the field. This is being called positive music or posi music. Enough said. So, what happens when you sing? Singing actually changes the brain by moving musical vibrations through you, thereby altering both your physical and emotional landscape. Because singing is like getting a dose of a perfect tranquilizer, it really does soothe your nerves and elevate your spirit. The singer feels both calm and energized, and it doesn't cost a penny or involve any illegal substances. The endorphins, which are released through singing, provide an immediate feeling of pleasure. And you can sing standing up, you can sing sitting down. Although singing and speech involve the larynx and the vocal cords modulating air as it is pushed out of the lungs, the two actions stem from the two different sides of the brain. When we speak, the left-hand side is involved, the part that controls word formulation and sentence structure. But when we sing, it is the right hemisphere that we rely on to produce the rhythm and melody of music. So someone who stutters or has a speech impediment won't stutter when they're singing because it's a different part of the brain, and even heavy regional accents can disappear. How many of you have Phil's CD with Joy Songs? It's an amazing CD. Phil asked us when we first started the church how much we wanted to use traditional hymns, how much we wanted to use Joy Songs. And at the time, I wasn't that enamored of Joy Songs. As you can tell, I'm a hymnal type of person. But once I started playing Phil's CD in the car, and a lot of times I play it on the way to church because I'm totally pumped by the time I get here with these songs, I've found that those Joy Songs, as many of you probably know, are totally mood lifters. And they're things that if I listen to the CD in the morning, I'm singing all day. I'm coming back to them all day and going over them. So I encourage you, if you don't have that CD, it's really a marvelous one, and we can probably see about getting it. If I'm in a funk or if I'm in a bad traffic situation, I can put on a Van Morrison album, and I can immediately improve my mood by 100%. It's bizarre. It's lasted from college right to today. That's an artist where I can feel my whole mood change. I can, I put it on. It just picks me right up, even if I am really crabby. So we see another example every day how much music affects runners or people exercising. My child majored in music therapy in college and is just starting an internship to finalize that degree. So I've talked a lot about him. We've talked about who he's going to work with, whether he's going to work with the geriatric folks or people who have some kind of psychological disorder, kids, all those kinds of things, and he's still working on that. But music's restorative power was recognized, although probably not fully understood, as early as the writings of Plato and Pythagoras. And we sang this morning in our song, This Is Our Father's World, of the music of the spheres. That reference began in ancient Greece. And it was said that Pythagoras heard consonants in the different sounds of a hammer when he passed by a blacksmith shop. He was inspired to discover the connection between vibration, frequencies, and pitch. He theorized that if objects in motion vibrate, which of course they do, and produce sound, that he thought that the planets were large bodies in motion, and they must also produce a sound. He posited that the proportions of the movement of celestial bodies, such as the sun, the moon, the planets, as a form of music. This music was not thought to be literally audible, but a harmonic or mathematical or religious concept. But why didn't people hear this music of the spheres? Why was it inaudible? Well, the thinkers of the time surmised that because this music was continually being produced, humans had no point of comparison, no real sense of silence or difference, and therefore could not distinguish it from our known idea of silence. And this theory basically dominated thinkers and philosophers until the end of the Renaissance. Skipping a few centuries, string theory harkens back now to this music of the spheres, reminding us there is a geometry in the humming of strings, there is music in the spacing of the spheres, thus linking the visual and the oral. For Plato, music served as a regulator of the bodily function. When the body is out of tune or a person is ill, music was able to restore a normal harmony or homeostasis. During the Middle Ages, the monasteries wrote about music therapy to bring people closer to celestial harmony, which would promote healing. It was used as a secular healing or regulator. It was in fact only used when the person was sick because in general, music was a disturbance to be banned. And I'd already talked about that thought in the Middle Ages of how music was a little bit suspicious. It wasn't something that was for every day. So this was believed, the music to bring you back into harmony, was believed to be effective for feeling hot or having a fever, but not for a broken bone or a missing limb. Music therapy was also used for mental illness, for melancholy, and for love and love sickness. Music was not thought to cure disease, but to strengthen the body against disease or imbalance. So we scroll forward to the Fillmores. Charles alludes to the arrangement of tones in musical harmony and notes that ideas, mathematics, and music are related, and that when the mind understands that relationship and applies it, the harmony called health follows. He said that the spirit of music is within us all. When we have developed and brought that spirit forth, when the quickening, harmonizing life has entered the physical by the union of God with a person, then we will realize that there is a power in us that will produce harmony, and harmony is health. He goes on to say, so that we see the body as a musical instrument meant to give forth the harmony of the divine mind. It must therefore be kept in tune with the infinite. We need to learn to put it in tune, to keep it in tune, and how to play upon it. And that is all done with right thinking and right speaking. Thinking in wisdom produces harmony of mind and grace of body. All discord is produced by ignorant, unwise thoughts and words. Charles foresaw that there would be schools of healing based on music, where patients would be taught to center themselves in the harmonious Christ mind. He said, as you come into the harmony of the divine mind, you will be able to play above and below the staff, and your ear will be quickened from beyond its present range of hearing. You will hear not only the music of the spheres, but you will be able to discern musical tones in what now seems to be merely noise. The whir of the dynamo, these are still Charles' words, the whir of the dynamo is the music of the bass viol. In the traffic of the street, you will catch a deep musical tone, and when you are in perfect harmony in thought, you will hear music everywhere. So next time you're praying or meditating, try listening for the music of the spheres. Bring harmony into your life by singing and praising. Everyone should play and sing. We should rejoice in divine harmony. We should sing songs of joy and of love and of peace and of the unity of spirit, the Spirit of Jesus Christ, the Supreme Person expressed. Thank you.